everybody, and welcome to another episode of Curse of Muddy Mystery. Tonight we're playing the module Curse Strahd, but it's been changed, transformed, and we're playing in the system and the setting of Frostmark RPG, everything created by moi. There's a content warning for tonight of bad language, heavy topics, gothic horror, and perhaps some gore. We shall see. But with me, I have a wonderful cast of players. I got Lady Illyria, our half-elven magus played by Jules. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome thank you for the subscription.
You know what? I feel like I'm drawing a blank again. This is weird.
No. It's happening a lot to Illyria Saber. Amartia, our changeling warlock, is usually with us, played by Cookie, but they're having some family stuff and hopefully will be with us soon. But then we have Nixto the Vistani, a tiefling bard, played by Adriano. Hello, welcome.
Quote-unquote finger guns.
And certainly not least, Jivkos, our undead paladin, played by Weewu. Hello, welcome.
What are guns?
Pray you never know. What happened last time, gang? Who want to take it away?
We didn't
Agreed.
decide.
Oh no! A second.
Last session. Was it me? I can't remember.
You did.
Yeah, okay. Jules, you want to do it so you can, see what happened?
Yeah, I need to find it.
Session summaries, episode 115. Thinking
Session
back.
summaries. There we
Heavy
go.
gaze.
Whilst camping within the ruins of the windmill, Hamartia is encouraged to repeat the events of her escape. She highlights how the vision the stones gave her is practically the same as before, but this time she approached Mother Dearest's corpse and took her body parts with the jasper stone in hand instead. Afterwards, she was visited by that voice that you have coined to be Mother Night, which promised her power in return of taking her mother's place. Nyx is curious about why Hamartia said no to such a bargain, and the Sunbringer reasons that not only was Mother Night's claim too good to be true, she didn't receive the whole picture as the voice dodged important questions, but also the fact that if the party wishes to free the elementals, having Hamartia become a Night Apostle would be in direct opposition of that. The discussion turns to the powers that be, and Hamartia hypothesizes that the true villain of this play might be Mother Night, not Strahd, seeing as Strahd is a prisoner of the mists in which he should have ultimate power, and how so many powerful groups in Barovia worship Mother Night as a goddess. Furthermore, Hamartia proposes that your part in the play might be fated, seeing as how you continue to weather down Strahd allies while he has trouble retaliating due to Illyria's presence. This might be the first time their rule is truly challenged. In response, the half-elf in question brings up her Tracker card to ponder upon Madame Eva's prophecy. This trigger steers the conversation to several historical tidbits and theories that you share amongst yourselves. You think Madame Eva broke some kind of contract when she used her gifts to help your journey, triggering some kind of curse that transformed her into a gargoyle-esque monster. You believe that Eva is still somewhere within this monster and forced to live in Castle Ravenloft. Madame Eva was a part of a group of friends that explored the temple. You think the members were Eva, Strahd, Radin, and Trina Velikova. Argynvost traveled the archipelago, and when he came upon the Gakis mountain complex, he heard a voice that offered him his heart's desire. So great was his temptation that the worm thought it important enough to isolate it for the rest of his life. Over time, the Order of Knights grew around him, believing in the same cause. The Order was destroyed by Strahd when they stood in between the temple and the Vampire Lord. According to the mythological tale of the Great War 500 years ago, Empress Shay killed Emperor Barov in the Valley of Barovia. Strahd managed to escape this defeat, went missing for some time, rallied his troops in the mountains, turned the tide of war, and killed Shay in return. Nyx wonders if Shay was really so easily defeated, or if her spirit would so easily allow her to succumb to death. Patrina was locked in a love triangle with Strahd and Tatiana, which sheds light on her actions to try and hurt Illyria. Jivkos questions helping Patrina, but the rest of the party remains unsure. As a change of subject, Illyria sends a message to Esmeralda informing her that Morgantha is dead, but the threat is not over, and asks her what is happening on her side of the valley. The Vistana's answer is that they have made it to the Abbey in Kresk, but she doesn't know if it's enough. bats have become aggressive and ravens are dying, confirming the Strahd now knows about the Mardikovs. This somewhat consoles you all. It is not safe, but it is safe that it can be, with us Asphodel traveling back to Crests. But Nyx argues that this is all distractions and you need to stop running around solving small leaks and focus your efforts on the bigger picture. Jivkos warns you that the undead knights might start to become a problem as the party is now obviously working against Strahd. Jivkos and his sister Kala was sent out to trail the party to see if Team Trauma was going to keep their promise to Chapter Master Vladimir Horngard. He assures Nyx that his reluctance of facing his family is not a sign of betrayal, but of pain. His ultimate goal is to save his family and deliver their revenge onto Strahd. Why he's different than the rest is because Morgantha and her 2 daughters aim to redirect part of the curse that puppeteers his mind to the protection of the Squalls rather than Strahd. Instead, they merely freed his mind from it. Amartya gets enthused at the news and wonders if that is something she can replicate, but Jivkos warns her of the cost that her family paid for it. Nyx gets a flash of inspired recollection, and he reminds the party of the existence of a Sir Eris, a very disgruntled member of Strahd's court with a necklace of a silver dragon. He suggests to Jivkos that they might have an ally within the court. Jivkos shares that Eris was on her way to become a High Knight, that she had a fast crush on Sergei von Zarovich, and that she was mostly missing before the battle that wiped the Order out and missing during it. Jivkos is keen to talk to her. With murder on the mind, you all agree that you would be willing to sacrifice Viktor Velakovich for another knight's freedom. Lydia might be a bigger thorn in your side, and now that she has become Burgomistress, Cantemir will be without power for you to interrogate and mete out justice for Alenka from. You figured out that if the village of Barovia is green again, the Cantemir doesn't have the heart anymore or isn't in direct possession of it. Team Trauma resolves to travel to the village and get the heart, and on the way visit Seirpool. The next day, you continue on your travel eastward of Amartya, masquerading as Asphodel. On your way, Arius is alerted by a crossbow aimed at the group from the bush, and when you confront the person, you meet a small scouting group from Vallaki. Their purpose is to find Wilhelmina Rikolova and her somewhat newborn baby. They are on Wakter's command to do so, and their reasoning is that the baby is a Hathor and should be removed from Rikolova to be handed over to the government for caretaking. Rikolova consequently ran away, and these scouts are sent out to save her from the dangers of the woods and bring her and her baby back to Vallaki. After they leave, Nyx quickly explains some things to Jivkos, but reiterates that they need to focus on the bigger picture. During your watches as you camp, you discover and kill bats that appear to watch you sleep. Jivkos zeroes in on his mental trackers radar on Strahd again, and learns that the vampire is somewhere around Vallaki. During his watch, the Count moves slightly from time to time in the same area. You travel again the next day, continuing on your way towards the village. Nyx performs ascending to Casimir through your sending stones, and Casimir remains where he promised to be, just waiting. Sad boy, TM. In the meantime, Strahd has returned to the castle. By the gates of Castle Ravenloft, Stuart Rodin awaits for your arrival. Jivkos is immediately aggressive, but Illyria and Nyx heads up to hear what the Steward has to say. Strahd wants to give Illyria and Co a warning, but he has discovered a nefarious and deceptive spy organization that betrayed the Empire called the Black Eyes. Illyria shouldn't believe any ravens, talking to ravens or claimed members of the organization. Strahd is also aware of Arius and Jivkos' presence, and the castle is prepared to forgive them if Arius aids the efforts to get help from the Protectorate, and if Jivkos allows his new condition to be studied, to see if the same can replicate it for the rest of his order. You're also surprised to hear that Strahd continues to welcome you to the castle, Rodin claiming that despite the current stresses between Strahd and Illyria, he still wishes to keep her close. When asking Jivkos why he's so furious, you learn that Rahadin killed Jivkos during the battle with the Order. You pass through the gates and continue on your way east.
Forget how much fucking happened.
Yeah, it was a lot. You talked, and it was a lot of stuff. Also some juicy stuff, with Rahadin and all the revealed Rahadin killing Jivkos, and the very interesting lore discussion you had in the camp the day before. It was good. It was really good. But awesome. Thank you so much. Let's dive in, shall we? Let's go quickly. Let's see. Here. The mere 20 or so minutes of tense walking is held in worried silence until you come upon it again. After a brief conversation with Yukos on why he reacted so aggravated at the sight of Rahadin, the fact that you're walking in the shadow of Castle Ravenloft casts a wizened spell on your tongues to be held in abundance of caution. Within the inner gates of Barovia, dozens upon dozens of black eyes hanging upside down in the branches watches you pass by. The it that you come upon is, of course, the castle crossroads. Where the Svalish Road branches off to a somewhat stone-paved eastern path that would carry you all the way to the valley's political center. That ostentatious and sturdy coach stands parked at its usual spot. Two massive, muscular black horses are attached to it, and they thrust in the rain as their breath comes out as small clouds, and as their supernaturally powerful muscles swell and twitch, itching to be unleashed at any moment. The carved and paneled door slowly creaks open on its own accord as you approach this bend. Do you pause, or do you continue?
Nix looks to Illyria with a grave look on his face. I don't see anyone. And if Rahadim was just here, that makes sense, I suppose. I have no intention of going to the castle, do you?
Not right.
Then the hell with this cart.
Iris looked very worried for a moment. Like, his eyes kind of zeroing in on Nix. I'm like, oh shit. And then, like, as Illyria answers, it's like, oh. Do not jest like that.
Jivgos's eyes will just have
He
sort of
said we
been
are
fixed in the
welcome,
car.
that we are expected.
What did you say, people?
Jivgos will have just been keeping his eyes on the cart.
Mm-hmm. The horse is kind of moving in place, like rocking the wagon forward a little bit. It's heavy, but they kind of stomp in place. They really want to run and seem excited by your presence. But nothing else happens. All right.
Ignore.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The second pair of gates, with an identical make of a crumbled stone wall, is met to just another 20 or so minutes after that. And they swing open and close just like the other one, and casually offering a swift exit from the castle's front yard. And you do not look this gift horse in the mouth and walk on through. And you release a breath of relief that you didn't know that you were holding, as you're seemingly free to go.
Heck yeah.
Yay!
We did it, chat.
Oh my god, we're not dead.
I have some very serious worries about the fact that Strahd seemingly isn't trying to murder us right now. But this is fine.
Harmardia, as Asphoda goes, "Yes, I believe so too." Looking very regal.
I imagine this is just here always. It's where they park. If we have ever any intention of going direct to Ravenloft and don't manage to figure out a way to get in other magical fashions, perhaps this might be an opportunity to use it as a carriage with a surprise in it. But
So yeah.
It was also there when we came to the castle the first time. We were invited by that elf. It went really fast, and then we had dinner, and then we were all charmed. And then when we came back, it was there with our little army that we have gathered, but we ignored it and marched towards the gates. And then on the way towards Castle Ravenloft, we were met by Charles Scott and his own army. So, seems to be a constant indeed, that carriage.
let's try and put it out of our minds.
Alright. You continue your journey, and with every step you feel lighter as you leave the castle's front yard behind, continuing this kind of highly elevated area of the Swannish Wood. There's going to be several hours of journey. Anything you want to talk about, or are we just gonna speed on and head to the next point of interest?
Jivkos doesn't have anything to talk about specifically. It was a fair amount done last time.
In a bad mood, perhaps, also?
Yeah.
Alright. More than 4 hours of travel later, not accounting for a quick and quiet lunch break, you come upon the second road mark on your way east. At this time, you've only got 1 more hour of marching until you have to stop for the day, and sunset colors the horizon in warm hues of orange. You find yourself on a portion of the main Swallowed Road that winds itself up and past massive mounds of exposed rock. After a few turns and a bit of a burn in your calves, the road straightens out in between 2 stone hills. And just a couple of meters beyond, the ground falls away. To be replaced with a massive mold and moss-encrusted bridge that spans the natural chasm ahead. Gargoyles cloaked in black moss perch on the corners and of the beginnings of it, their frowns weather-worn. On your right-hand side, on the mountainous side, a waterfall spills into a misty river nearly 300 meters below, and then flows ever eastward towards what you know to be Searpool. And so, you find yourself back at Savoie, with all the turbulent memories that it holds. Harmardia remembers many trips with sweet old Granny on the way to sell the totally harmless pies to Barovia Village and Searpool. Jivkos remember its construction from a very old and distant memory viewed from afar. Illyria and Nyx remembers how Irina paused to gaze at the beauty whilst expressing her wish to leave Barovia and explore the world beyond. Arius steps up to the edge of it, leans over the railing to peer onto the rocks below with a storm of emotions on his face, whilst rubbing the side of his face that is scarred.
Something of a trip down memory lane for you, Irius.
Oh. Yes, of course. This is where it ended. The old me.
You were cast over. Part of your ways of ending the torment, or were you thrown over?
It lifted me up by the neck when I had nothing else, nothing in my magical repertoire left to throw at him. They were all dead, and I gave up. There was nothing left for me to fight for. And he just laughed as he threw me at the rocks below. Just over there. And she just nods like a couple of meters ahead.
Do you remember coming to?
Flashes. I was severely wounded. The first thing that I saw was and heard was your mother. She leaned over me and looked up into her black coal eyes and into that wrinkled face. Wondered if this was somehow the afterlife, a strange Boreas to gaze at. She told me everything would be fine. But I was spiraling in my thoughts at that time, half because of the pain and half because of my cowardice. And I fled into myself, into my madness, and when I woke properly next time with all bandages in a small tent, I pushed her aside and I ran. That's when I knew Irius was truly born.
Do you recall anything of your time within that tent? Or was it a fleeting visit if you just ran away?
Irius is gonna make an intelligence check. I think it's +2, right? I'm pretty sure. What is that? Yes. Yeah, +1. Poor dude.
Yeah. It's weird that he's not the most smart.
Through his biggest attribute is his determination, and he is very bullheaded. Actually, not that brilliant, but just very determined.
I love that.
18. He furrows his eyebrows, starts, stroking his beard. As Irius does the big think, like he normally does, and kind of disappears within himself for a while. Now when my head is more clear, I think back to it, I remember her encouraging me not to give up while she took care of me when I was coming in and out of consciousness, too weak to do anything than just sleep. She told me that I was yet needed. I needed to hold out. And then she told Floor, a rustling of the tent, to leave her alone, and she will be back soon. And then I felt strong and I pushed her aside and deeply regret. You should know, Nix, that I never thanked her.
It's a thankless job, one could say. But Madame Eva, she was an inspiration to a lot of people, in her own way. Sometimes I think at night about her and almost can't believe that she's gone. I am reassured about the fact that she's not really gone, despite what everyone else is grieving over. But I was merely curious as to whether you saw anyone else in that tent at that time. Does anyone know who you are at the pool beyond the Madame Eva?
Oh, yes. Me and my friends, when we were investigating Domican and all of these reports of missing people, we came upon a group of traveling tieflings who immediately welcomed us into the circle, offered us wine, and we met Ion, who spoke about a valley that could perhaps hold more answers for us. Was very cryptic. They told good stories, though. And eventually our investigations led that way. We entered the mists, were confused as to how all of this exists, without the Protectorate knowing about it, without me knowing about it. Traveled past the village of Barovia, learned some things from Ismark and Irina. Traveled ahead when we heard about the existence of Seapool and that these people were there to ask some more cutting questions of why they invited us here. And we met Ion again. And other Vistani. They told us some stories, especially one about a prince that they saved and hid. And after he was put safely with his army and conquered his enemies, that the Vistani would forever be protected by him. He understood slowly who they were talking about, and our approach became very different. We wanted to distance ourselves very quickly. But Cyril came out of the forest and quietly also informed us of a wagon full of kidnapped people. We were about to leave, as suddenly a very old red tiefling stuck out her hand from a tent, held me in place, told me some very strange things, handed me some cards, and then we left in the night. It was, of course, now I recognized her, and from what we've been talking about, Madame Eva, that handed me her own cards and a prophecy with it.
still retain these cards?
Oh, yes, of course. For everything that I have dropped and lost during my battle and these years in Barovia, for some reason they haven't been able to fall out of the Xena pocket. And he brings up his 3 cards. The first one being the Horseman, the second, the Donjon, and the last one, the Myrmidon. They're in the Barocca card section.
It seems that no matter how long it's been, her influence still resides somewhere in Barovia. I don't suppose you recall the statements that she made based off of drawing those cards?
I do. It's also something that I haven't been able to shake.
Those statements reference significant things, at least that is what we have come to hear and learn. Somewhat cryptic, but her prophecies seem to be a guiding light.
For my part, I do believe in them. They have rung eerily true. I think I was too quick to dismiss Sivistani, and now in hindsight, I'm feeling guilt, just as I wasn't able to thank her for saving me. I regret not staying in that moment and talking to her more. But now that she's gone, are we really going to go there? I haven't had the best of experiences with, sorry to say, with the rest of your people, Nix.
It's not my intention, but it is safe haven. Perhaps. I am constantly conflicted about such a ideology. To go to Tsepul means to make our presence known to people other than Strahd and his cronies. I dare say that there is nothing more at Tsepul for me but disappointment and bad memories.
But you received your own cards, no? And he looks to Nix, Illyria, and Hamardia.
We did.
Lyrian nods and is like, it's hard to believe until you start to realize their significance.
But, I mean, in hindsight, it has given me some solace. I do understand what she meant now. What did she want for you?
Back when I first got my cards, I was confused, amused even.
But now?
I think they're oddly fitting. She gave me the Tempter, Ghost, and Raven.
For me, she gave... I don't know if these gods actually ring so much true nowadays. She gave me the traitor, the anarchist, and the missionary.
Do you understand the meaning as I do now, or is it cloaked?
I understand that she expected me to challenge my ancestry after knowing and learning about where I've come from. And that my home isn't really my home, but it is my choice, or was my choice, to choose whether or not to be a part of it or not. And after what they did, after being so quick to disregard the life of a cousin, all for the sake of the grace of being in Strahd's good books. Unfortunately, I hold life a little more dearer than them. And I turned my back on them because they turned their back on me long ago. And therein lies the anarchist, I suppose. To be the one to fuck shit up. To keep on striving for change. To assist in the making of a new world. And I will deal with the fact that my family disowned me. I found a new one.
Lyra kind of smiles towards Nate.
I'm already in the voice of Asphodel, kind of leaves in and whispers. I got also cards, but no prophecy with them. They're just faces. I'm a little bit sad that I didn't get words to it because I don't really understand what they mean. But there are 3 for me as well. But that's a shame. I feel like we have lost a very important ally that could have shed us a lot of light on our situation. But if we believe that there is safety on our path, considering what we just walked through, then he just kind of casts a paranoid kind of look over his shoulder back to from where you came. I would be happy to it. And what is the proverb? Keep your friends closer, but your enemies even closer?
People say that. They're crazy, but they do.
I also do not think that is currently true.
You don't think that it's wise to know what your enemies are doing?
No, that our enemies are closer than our friends.
I don't think it's meant to be taken literally, Chief Cause.
There comes the confusion with many sayings.
No, to be clear, right, the proverb is not saying that, you know, if I'm standing here and you're standing there, that Strahd is in between us, and you realize this.
Yes, yes.
really could have been a little less close at times.
I can agree.
A croak that you recognize and you've been surely missing for some time now, suddenly echoes through the chasm of these exposed rock faces, and swooping into the sky from high above is a kind of arrowhead formation of 3 ravens that kind of circle a little bit above, shrieking down to you, and they appear to start a dive towards you.
Nix will look at them and see if they are blue tinted.
And make
Can you
me
make
a quick perception intelligence check, please.
Okay.
5. They're in mist. The light is dying, and they are quite still far away. You squint, but it's very hard to tell by this distance. A second or so after, as you kind of like stare up at it in questioning and a little bit in shock, a cloud of bats rises from behind one of the rock faces, and the ravens immediately steer away, and this swarm of bats go after them, and they go chasing off the bats into the distance, into the mists, and disappear.
Oh.
Dang. Maybe there could have been some news for us. With perimeter of bats. Unless we go on the bat extermination spree. Might have to
I do
go in
not believe
blind.
that's the time. Or the use of it.
Oh, I agree. I don't like going into a town without any information, especially after we hoped that, you know, that the ravens would have done reconnaissance for us and given us some insights, but
There's not much we can do now that he's hunting the ravens.
fortunately not worth burning spell slots, at least. So, we've just passed that bridge, or we're still passing the bridge?
For now, you're just still like standing on there and like talking. But you may, if you want to continue traveling.
Lyria, last time you were here, you had a pretty strong connection with your passenger. Is this something that you wish to try and do so again?
I suppose I could.
Wasn't that Tatiana Bridge over by Kresk?
Yeah, that was.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
if anything happened here last time.
No, it was by the Hangman's Crossroad. You got the first.
I think this is
Yeah.
just a cool bridge.
Yeah.
When did you get
It's an Arius death bridge.
When did you get the second vision? That was a little bit longer, when you noticed that it was not a forest, but
Oh boy, I can't remember that one, I'm afraid.
walking up to the altar.
Wasn't that at Tatiana Bridge, or was there one between it?
Yeah, just before meeting Strahd there, when he waited for you. Maybe. Double check. Could have been here. not sure, but it certainly reminds you of Tatiana Bridge.
Leo
no.
just say like, I mean, it reminds me of the other bridge, but
Ah, my mistake. Don't worry about it. I was just curious.
why not try? As she'll kind of take a moment and try to push away the thoughts of Irina and their talk that they had, that she had hopes that maybe one day she could show Irina the world,
Yeah.
and tries to instead focus just kind of looking off the edge of the bridge into the water below, taking a deep breath and closing her eyes and just kind of standing there for a moment. Kind of trying to reach into herself. She'll do that for like a couple minutes. Nothing happens. We'll turn to Nyx. Shake her head.
I suppose you're not quite there yet in terms of being able to, at will, communicate.
Do I want to be there?
Do you?
I'm not sure. There was a place that I'd had the first vision at.
Yes, I think we all had a vision.
Yes.
Well, all, just you and me at this point now. That is a little bit further down the road, and unlikely that we'll make there before nightfall, so... Would Nyx know of a suitable stopping place? Like, you would have been, like, around this area quite a fair bit.
For sure. Yeah, just past the bridge, kind of walking in between some of these crags, there should be a somewhat protected kind of grassy meadow that is kind of flanked by taller, rocky hills. It's just a little bit off the road that the Vistani sometimes would visit and make camp at.
Okay. He says, there's a place not too far from here that we can at least take shelter. It's off the road a little bit. Been there many a time. Irius, are you looking to bypass Serpool altogether?
Despite that my first reaction is to hide, because all of this is scary. No. He knows that I'm here. He's not immediately attacking me. And I do want to see what's happening with them, and ultimately, I'm not truly afraid. I want to see what's happening with the Vistani. I'm not so easily
Okay.
intimidated.
Very well. And Illyria, anything about Serpool that got your attention?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, we were there last time. Do you not remember?
I do remember. Out of character, I'm not sure what you're trying to get at.
I was referring to whether or not there is someone in that pool that you wish to visit.
Yeah, okay. If you're asking if there's anyone I want to see particularly, I can't really think of one.
Okay.
But I'm not opposed to seeing how things are there.
Okay, then next we'll continue to walk along the bridge and direct the party towards the stopping place.
Absolutely. It's just short hour walk or so. The light begins to fade, and you easily make your way to that spot that you know very well. There's certainly let's see, science that is being used recently, but nobody is here currently. Everybody is pretty introspective during this evening. Food is had. 4 rations is removed from your inventory as Jivkos once again abstains from food.
He is a cheap date.
That's one way of putting it.
I suppose so, yeah.
He's cheap everything if you think about it like that.
For sure. And you have your watches. This time, Martia decides to take the night off for no particular reason. But she leaves Soul to help for those who accept that help.
Yeah!
I
Yeah.
love that moth.
Yeah, I love Soul. Yeah!
I have
The
no reason to
rivalry.
in character love Soul, but I love that moth. I will die for this moth.
Thank God he has died many times and come back many, many more.
Yeah.
As long as Martia is alive.
Yeah. He's a constant at the moment, right?
Ominously. Yeah. Aria's gonna take the first watch.
Okay.
Jivkos could take the second.
Earlier I can take third.
Alrighto.
We'll go last.
Okay. Let's see. Arias is gonna have a chill time with Soul, but he is less active this night as he is pretty introspective considering everything that has happened. But Soul kind of nudge him from time to time when he feels like his minimum is slacking off from his job, which still allows Arias to get advantage on this perception composure. Ooh! Damn!
Hey.
Alright.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby. And Arias kills 3 more ravens that he tells Jivkos? For the
Kills
second?
ravens.
Yeah. Oh, no,
Ravens?
yeah. Bats. I'm sorry.
Traitor!
Freudian slip.
Strahd, kill him.
Which he informs Jivkos when he kind of like gently pats him awake. Better at this time, learning how to awake Jivkos quickly.
Yeah.
You know? Perfecting his
will-
method.
Jivkos will just sort of give him a sort of like pat on the shoulder of like a sort of congratulations for killing 3, or just rather sort of, you know, appreciative, I would say, more than trying to be congratulatory. but he will do a fairly, I hope to like say, vigil watch, and also keep tabs like last time on the location of our dearest Count.
Okay. All right.
And he will, yes, take Sol's assistance.
Okay. For sure. And make me a perception composure. Arius is feeling pretty proud that, you patted him on his shoulder. He feels seen.
Oh, that's sad and really cute.
And he goes back to sleep.
4.
4.
I rolled a 1 and a 2.
Wow.
Ay. All
He
this
is,
talking.
The events of yesterday, today, whether you'll say either, was disturbing, let's say.
Yeah, for sure. Your thoughts are mostly inward, and out of paranoia, you ping your mental supernatural Strahd radar. Gosh darn it, fucking revenants. During the course of your watch, he is at first a couple of hours east northeast. Kinda the same distance as the last time you pinged him in Castle Ravenloft, but slightly further away. And with your mental, your ability to, your competence with the Barovian map, you're pretty sure that that's still Castle Ravenloft.
Perfect.
But in the middle of the night, for a little bit less than an hour, you're not entirely sure because you don't check it like every second, right? It blinks and suddenly appears east 5 hours as the Raven flies.
The Raven flies, not anymore.
As the bat flies.
Bat flies.
Yeah. Yeah, alright.
And then, just before your watch end, it flickers back. About 10 hours, I think, at this distance, northeast.
Who was to be next to watch?
I think that was Nyx, right? No, Illyria.
Illyria's next.
Go ahead.
Just because we'll awaken Illyria in a very gentle way, as he knows that most people don't sleep like corpses. And,
Most people aren't corpses.
yeah, it's true. But then he will just.
Most people can, however, easily be turned into corpses.
That's true. Most. But yeah, he'll just remind her of course, bats and his unsuccessful nature with them. But then just sort of a note of where Strahd is and has been of the night.
Illyria kind of narrows her eyes a little, nods, and then gets up to have her watch.
He'll just sort of give her a respectful nod and make himself comfortable.
Okay, Illyria, give me a perception. Composure with advantage if you accept Soul's help.
Yes.
Nyx never will.
As my roll
Age of
20
huge.
crashes. I'm just restarting it. Yes!
18.
18. During the course of your watch, you see 2 ravens. Bats. Fuck! Fuckity fuck. Bats!
No ravens.
Legends.
I wish it was ravens.
You see 2 bats. Hanging in the trees. As far as possible away from camp as they can. but still close enough so they can watch you through the bush and the branches. Do you let them be?
She'll try to like get them to leave.
Only you can start forest fires. Will you do firebolt?
She will not. I think she still has a crossbow somewhere. And some bolts for it. I'm unfortunately not going to start a forest fire tonight.
Oh.
No one will believe.
Why do you sound so disappointed?
He really wants it.
You just came into your room, danced some ballet for me, told me no one will believe you, and then left.
She didn't do
I
that.
believe you.
I believe you.
Okay.
He's in his baking pants.
He was only in his underpants. I can't confirm.
That's much more believable. That makes it more believable than if it was fully clothed.
Anyway, sorry. Yes, Jules. I'm not gonna have you roll. They're just bats. They die.
She does mutter something along the lines of like, I really appreciate not being watched, and we'll shoot the bats.
Oh, I see. Okay. Do you do anything beyond killing bats in the night? Anything of note?
I think Illyria will kind of like ponder about the recent conversations they had about their meeting with Rod and stuff like that.
Just having thought.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. 2 hours comes to its close. Nothing has happened. Do you awake Nyx?
Yes, she will wake up.
Okay.
Nyx awakens!
Get up,
Indeed.
it's your turn.
I get it. Anything to worry about?
Well, that's watching us, but care of that. But there's so many, so it might be more again.
Okay. Are you doing okay?
I'm fine, yeah. Jeffka said he sensed Strahd move 5 hours east.
The village.
The village is more like 15 hours east.
The pool then?
Could be.
Ooh.
What would Strahd want to do at the pool? I mean, he can, I suppose. Does that mean that if you travel back and forth, there must be a circle there?
Probably. It also means that. Do you reckon he knows we're going there?
The bats are watching us.
He
It's
doesn't
good to know that if there is a circle there to be found, to go to Ravenloft. All circles lead to Ravenloft, it seems.
It's true.
Okay.
Okay.
Sleep well.
Be careful. Just nods and we'll try to get some sleep.
Right. Next. You.
There
and
will be
Sol-
no assistance.
Whoa!
You and Sol have like a Texan standoff as you stare at each other from across the camp. Sol raises one of his legs, as if giving the middle finger, and then goes to sleep.
Making the noises and everything.
It's like in a Ghibli movie with like a little bubble.
And only Amarthya hears whatever vile things Soul thought in that moment. Amarthya had stirred a little bit in her sleep.
Turned over.
I imagine Soul is really cute when he sleeps.
Yes.
Sleeps like the devil. Okay, Nix, make me a perception composure and tell me what you're up to.
Let's see what the dice gods say I'm up to.
Not too bad.
Nix is somewhat distracted being this close to where he grew up. Landmarks and roads and certain trees even form memories of, being here at a younger age with Ezzy, mostly by himself. He plays back the scene of Madame Eva in the tent, over and over, like in slow motion, seeing her push the cards over the table and flip them with great effort, and then the slow motion effect of her erupting, her form exploding with a gargoyle like pouring out of it. He has the memory of all the tieflings within Seapool and his feelings for each one of them. And he lingers for longer than the others on is it Sophia, who was her life was taunted by Strahd. That her life was in jeopardy if he were to out Strahd to everyone else. And he has some fond memories, but thinks to himself that it's been a while since he has seen them all.
Yeah. So you try to keep a vigilant eye out after you sleep.
I also continue to write in my notebook a continuation of what Nix was doing over the past few nights, and looking at the sleeping party, often stopping his gaze over at Illyria.
And you see no bats during your watch. And you keep vigil. Slowly, the darkness of the night gives way to the shy morning rays, filtered through the mists. The morning. All right. Let's continue to push ahead. This is not something unusual for the most of you. Okay, in comparison to yesterday, with its unsteady back and forth periods of torrential rain and clear as can be skies, this Timison, Friday, and 39th day within these mists, this has shifted the weather into a steady rainfall with an equally steady but light breeze. At least today, the rain only comes straight from above, and is such as such somewhat easy to avoid than an even umbrella or a wrapped cloak. After only an hour and a half or so of trudging through the mud, Nyx sees a familiar path. An innocuous foot trail that heads in between the rocky hills and evergreen pines in the direction of direct east, instead of the southern direction that this portion of the Swallows Road would continue to carry you towards for some time. Nyx would know that whilst this trail is not suited for wagon nor horse, it's a faster route to the Searpool encampment for those without such luxuries. The Swallows Road, on the other hand, would add almost 2 more days of travel, as it would snake back and forth of the traumatic slopes of the eastern side of the Mount Gakis mountain complex to safely deliver wagon and horse down into the once fertile bowl that of the village of Barovia and Searpool resides within. The choice is rather clear between the two paths ahead. No?
Shortcut or no?
Yes. Which
Shortcut being overground?
Yes. It would take a bit, 4 to 5 hours to take the shortcut. Now that you're without horse and wagon, because this path was completely unviable when you had it to, but you left them in Vallaki.
Yep.
If you travel the normal Swallows Road, it is an easier path, but it will add 2 more days to your travel.
Oh,
Instead
for
of 5
sure,
hours.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Nyx almost does it instinctively, leading the party off the main road.
I mean, as long as Nyx kind of knows where we're going, I don't think we're passing by anything important, right?
No, you traveled from Searpool with the wagon up the side of the Mount Gakis complex up to the Searpool bridge with your wagon and horse last time there was a big thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Which would have threatened your wagon, but it was just like a long snaking path that just brought you, up, increased your elevation until you could step onto like that big plateau for which that Castle Ravenloft sits on and kind of looms over the landscape, and which Sear falls from.
Okay.
So it was just a long path of talking and traveling and the storm.
Yeah. So I guess we take the shortcut.
I can even show you on the map. Since
It might help me visualize it, but I vote shortcut then.
for sure, since you have it available, you can just look at it whenever you please.
Oh, that.
It's not loading for me.
Oh, it's loaded.
The shortcut is a common path toward Searpool,
Mm-hmm.
but there is a way to come off the path and get back onto the road, so to speak, and bypass Searpool.
Yeah.
Here you
I
go.
see it now.
Yeah, and they kind of connect to Searpool on one side of it, and then on the other side is the main road that would take you back to the Swedish road. So
I don't see a reason not to take it.
intersect, and so you can see here. This is where you're currently at. I can load it. Oh, well, you have traveled this little path this morning.
We do this.
It's very steep there. That's why the road switch there. But you're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking more like this.
Yeah, but Serpol is down here.
Yeah, I know, but like to not enter Serpol.
You're not gonna enter Serpol?
No. We would like maybe like hit it to the point where it's easy enough to come back off the road, and like instead of going through it, to just go around
Okay,
it.
we're not going. I thought Nix wanted to go, my bad.
Yeah. Iria said he wanted to go.
What? Iria said that he was like concerned about showing his face there.
No, he said that now that Strahd knows the cat is out of the bag, and to keep your enemies closer, you think this is a good idea to go there to see what's up with the Bassani.
Oh, Nix has no intention of going through to Serpol. That's why he said, like, there's nothing there for him anymore.
All right. It will be a little bit difficult to come back on the road there, but maybe it's doable. You can definitely try.
I'm
the
sure.
worst case scenario
This
would
is his
just be
home.
delayed. Yeah, true. Worst
Yeah,
case
like, he
scenario would
knows
just
this-
be delayed.
Yeah, but a delayed for a few more minutes or like half an hour is better than 2 days, regardless. So
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so. The footpath, whilst relatively cleared and well used, is somewhat treacherous at parts. It snakes back towards the river and follows directly its banks here and there to carry you down towards the pooling lake in the far, far distance. It's steep at parts with roots, slick and exposed rock faces or portions with loose stone. Sometimes you hear the roar of the tumbling river that travels down equally dramatic paths as your legs, or the serene sounds of the wild Svalich woods. Your steps, the narrow nature of the path, the changes in elevation, the ever-present companion of rain and mud, as well as the care you had to take to not misstep and tumble, occupy most of your minds for this almost, well, if you would go all the way, 4-hour trek. More like 2 hours in what you're planning. Despite the exertion and your drawn focus, it is meditative. The simple purpose of just walking one step in front of the other is simple and easy for your weary minds to occupy themselves with, and not other heavy thoughts. And then the sound and smell of rampant nature would be serene to just anybody. Knowing this place well, you, and also consulting the map, it is easy for you next to kind of slow down at the point where you think you might be able to climb up a little bit upon kind of like this plateau that the road is on, as it's like snakes down the slopes as easily as you can. It has definitely been some kind of humanoid exertion with this road, because it must have been built by the Barovians to kind of prop it up and like put a good base on it in these pretty steep areas of the valley. So it's a bit of a climb to get up there to this protected plateau that it sits upon. But you're pretty sure you can do it. And as you turn to your party to take the first kind of step off the path, there is a bright purple shine from your backpack.
Oh. I mean, yeah. Nix will it's almost like instinctively get the feeling like this is prudent time since it was literally just mentioned yesterday, and go rustling around for that dang tarot card.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's in your backpack, or is it on your body? I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be probably in his pocket, really, because like we were just talking about it. Maybe even interweaved into pages of his book.
Cool. Well, then the light is coming from your book.
Nice.
And
Look.
you look. The card of the missionary shines brightly purple.
Huh.
Do they often shine?
Only when something of significant value. The last time it shined, I think we were at Kresk, right? Illyria?
Yes, when we found the sun sword.
And when
Nyx will
the
go
cards
ahead.
changed to mine, says Hamartia in her best Asford accent.
Not exactly sure what it means, other than maybe this is just who I am.
Maybe there's something for you to be found.
Do you think so? Do you think there is something like these trackers of a sort?
Well, they've led us to the sun sword, so maybe it's, I don't know, guiding you to some important step of your journey or whatever. Look, I'm not good with that, like, magic, like, philosophical, like, you know, talk, but
Well put.
I mean,
Nyx looks around and like, is he in a place of any like significance to him? Like, is this a place where he often sort of went to like write in his book, or to be alone from the people, the family at the Sepu?
Could definitely be. It's a beautiful nature path. This great for to exercise with, because walking up this path is pretty heavy. And there are some points at this path where it kind of snakes to the banks of the river, and the river is in particularly steep areas where it turns into a what's the right term for it? A tumultuous river where it goes over stones. It's very dramatic.
Sure.
What is the right word? Rockies. Rapids. There you go. It rapids. And it's pretty beautiful to just like listen to the roar and sit down and be immersed with it.
Okay. Since it's the card is shining, I guess it's prudent to take a quick pause and see if there's anything that Nyx can recall or look around and find.
Sure. Give me a pure cunning with advantage.
I am so cunning. You wouldn't even believe.
you know for a fact you probably just jinxed that.
Nat 20.
Oh, fuck.
Jinxed it back.
Man. It's nearly a natural 1 and a nat 20 as well. Fucking hell.
The rest of Team Trauma kind of watches Nyx there for like 5 minutes, go like back and forth, deep in his thoughts, thinking back to his young escapades as he kind of was all over this area to seek solace from time to time from the overbearing and sometimes even hostile fellow Vistani, when Mother Eva wasn't there to protect you. And you're kind of walking into the forest a couple paces, back up the path, down the path, towards the river, looking in bush, looking in tree. And slowly over time, you realize, whilst actually watching the card, the Taraka card in your hand, that whenever you continue down the path towards Zirpool, the shine dissipates and eventually disappears. And whenever you walk in any other direction, the shine returns and gets brighter. And you get the feeling that it's almost like a warning light of not avoiding this.
A warning light to not avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to a warning light to avoid it. Because
It's telling us to go there. Yeah.
So it's like it's trying to get to go there and not avoid it.
Yeah.
It's like warning you that if you don't go, shit'll go down.
It's like it calms, and it is almost like you get this kind of, for a moment, this extra sensory connection with the card, where it almost speaks to you in this emotional way that you're not supposed to avoid the path ahead.
Oh, fucking hell. Nick's like at this point of like it clicking and realization that he can't escape his fate. He like throws down his arms in exasperation and looks up into the misty skies and says, "Seriously, Eva? Seriously? Seriously? All this way? Seriously? Can't let well alone. It's not enough that I can't take my own path, but for some reason you still play with my fate. What could possibly lie there for me? Other than heartbreak, misery, dejection, and a little bit of pissed off."
The silence is mocking.
Fuck. Fine. Guys, change your plan.
I guess the card's guiding you to go there.
Despite my better judgment or desires.
You know, you could always defy your fate.
There are bigger things at play. I've been constantly referring to recently. Who knows what lies there? When we were last here, we just merely started our journey. We heard from Madame Eva exactly what this prophecy could be, and back then we had no idea what she was talking about. Crazy old Madame Eva then. And now we have learned so much since then.
We've learned that a lot of her prophecy holds true.
You wish to trust her more?
She's never led us astray, and she gave her life to provide us this prophecy, this guidance. Even though down there I know it will not be comfortable for me. I know what I will face returning to Tsepul, especially after what I said at the ball. This is more than how I feel, though. Our fate, and the fate of Barovia, it feels like, is more important than whether or not I feel like I'm having a good day. My duty is to you all. My bond must be fulfilled, and I will carry out that promise, even if it means that I get yelled at, berated, exiled. My charge is to you, Illyria, and I will not break that promise. So, to Tsepul.
I've said a lot of times that you don't owe me anything.
And every time, I refute it.
I know. But I'll be there if they do anything to you, you know. He'll be there for you.
Irius nods with a serious look on his face. Like empathy, understanding a bit what you're going through.
Likewise.
Hamordia, as Asphoda clamps down a clawed hand on your shoulder, raises a hairless brow. I will always be with you. How are you that bad?
Okay, let's do this then.
Okay.
If it is required, I may be of assistance in intimidating somebody away.
Yeah, of course, we haven't really asked this question, but did you have family?
I have spoken of my sister.
Right, but you know, you didn't just like hatch from an egg, right? You know your parents. Knew your parents.
Yes, I was made of conception that most humanoids are.
And when you were but a small Jivkos, do you remember getting in trouble? Being, disciplined?
Yes. I was not much of a well-behaved child.
Ha! Same.
Does this answer your questions?
Well, just take that idea that you were not a small Jivkos that played by the rules, and had the feelings that you felt when your parents reprimanded you for being naughty, and multiply that by dozens. For the Vistani do not have what I have come to learn, being outside the mist for the short period of time that I was, that most people apparently have just two parents, and that's freaking weird. Like, how do you even get to sleep? Go out. It doesn't make any sense. Your lives will basically be trapped by a small child. Anyway, at Sepul and with the Vestani, it is the collective that raises new children. You may not even remember or know your mother and father, and in fact it doesn't matter who brought you into the world. What matters is whether or not you survive. So every single person that is older than me at their pool, one time or another, treated me as if I was naughty regardless of what I did. My sort of reputation, shall we say, has always been that of one who does not belong. And they made damn sure I knew that every single day.
I shall make sure to respect them if they respect us all the same.
Oh, they might even respect you more.
I do not care if they respect me more than you. If they treat us all the same, I shall go off the worst.
Right.
They are collective, no. Should we not be treated as one as well?
That is a interesting way of putting it. I never actually thought of it that it was us versus them. It always felt to me like it was me versus my past. I'm a little shocked, Chief Cause. That was quite poetic. And Nick's like sort of flicks open his book and starts scribbling down, you know, in like caps, like Jivkar said, holy shit.
You know I've done much more than fight in my time.
Really? Such as?
You do know knights are not just to fight. They are chivalrous, well-learned, and to, well, educate one another on anything they have learned. There are many a knight smarter than I in my order, but that means there is plenty to learn.
Nix looks at Jivkos with like, you know, slimming eyes as he like sort of looks Jivkos up and down and says, "You were a chivalrous Jivkos? You? To whom, dare I ask?"
None at this moment, and most likely evermore.
Nick sort of like the curiosity that was in his body almost instantly deflates, and he like looks aside to Jivkos and says, "You know, you've got to read well, not the room, but read the road."
The dirt path.
No, Nix pinches the bridge of his nose.
What else?
Come on. Trauma awaits.
I, for one, am very happy that you're here, Jibcos, because I'm not alone not getting everything now. Thank you for taking some of that burden from me. Says the look of Asphodite in a very Hamordia voice, and it's weird.
Just gives an appreciative nod to the person he has never met before, that Amartia is now taking form.
She's not alone. To be sarcastic. Okay. So, begrudgingly.
Yeah, Nick's almost like, you know, like a tantrum, like a kid who just like lost an argument, like basically stomps down the sodden road.
Yeah.
Fucking come on, let's get it done.
Dramatically shit.
So you carry on, the wayward son, for the last 2 hours or so. Peace was never an option.
No sun, yeah.
To the last of the road, and the second half of this journey is not as dramatic as before, and kind of the road eases out more and more. and it gets easier and easier on your knees to not take all of these high impacts heading down. So, it's only just past the height of afternoon when this trail would almost come to an end that you pause for a moment. What prompted this is a ledge over the river below and a somewhat unobstructed view of the lake floor just below you, granting you oversight of Sirpool Vistani encampment. There, in between the sheets of rain and evergreen trees, the mists are alit with dozens and dozens of campfires. Despite being hundreds of meters away, you estimate about perhaps 2 or 3 kilometers until you would arrive at the lake's shore. Still, you vaguely hear the sound and music of many gathered Vistana. Dots of color can be spied in between the tree trunks and the dancing mist, betraying the presence of many wagons. Nix, you aren't sure how many Vistana there truly are in the world, as they're very spread out and they're not really organized enough to take a consensus. But a good estimate, considering you were close to Madame Eva and is privy to some more important information, is anything from 1,500 to 2,000 individuals. From the gathered wisdom of those present in the party in Team Trauma right here, limited by distance and the cover of trees, you believe that anything between 500 to 800 individuals have gathered there by the shore of Sirpool.
Excuse me?
My God.
And the last point of interest that you take in is a large wooden pyramid-esque structure with a flat top situated on the wet sand of the lakeshore close to where Madame Eva's tent used to reside. And Nix would realize that that is the largest to-be funeral pyre that he has seen the Vistani create. And with that, we're gonna go for a short break! Woo!
Woo!
Yay!
Big pile of wood.
Burn it all down.
Burn it.
Right, get some snacks, pet your pets, go to the toilet if that is needed. I've got a word from Cookie, who forgot that we were playing today. He was off buying wedding attire and would be here in an hour, he said.
Did he write that?
8:45 for me. So that was an hour ago. So he should be with us at any moment for the second part of this stream. Or another an hour and a half or so of roleplay. Yay!
Okay.
All good in the hood, so refill your drinks, get you some snacks, prepare yourselves, clench your buttholes.
Oh no.
Going back to Sirpool. I'll be right back.
On the way to Viridian City.
Alright, here I am. Like a hurricane, Though, to be fair, the town of Balaki, well, they recently suffered some losses. But the town of Balaki was about 1,500. Now they're perhaps like 1,300 or so. The village of Barovia is about 500 people, and Kresk is about 100. And then considering all the like small hamlets of Barovians and like smaller villages around, you can probably guesstimate that the Barovians in the Valley of Barovia is around 3,000 to 3,500. So the Vistani being about 1,500 to 2,000 is not that crazy, especially since they constantly traveling around. I also looked into a lot today into what is called minimum viable population stats. And to like have a thriving gene pool, you need about 500 individuals. So I wanted the Vistani to certainly be more than that. So around that kind of size makes sense, considering also the time and how much they prospered. For sure. And Madame Eva's funeral is a event.
Funeral?
Yeah, Madame Eva's funeral is an event like none other. For
The biggest event in Barovian history.
Well, the biggest event for the Vistani since the Vistani allied with Strahd, which was 450 years ago. So, pretty big news.
Just pouring myself another drink.
Heck yeah. Good water?
No, it's rum and coke.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Not culture,
So
but effective.
I did also get 2 bottles of whiskey recently from my sister who works in a distillery.
Damn! Joey had his 25th birthday recently.
Oh.
So I kid you not, 2 friends, not talking to each other, gifted him with the same bottle of whiskey.
What did I get him?
Swedish Rök.
Ah, don't know.
It's like a big Swedish brand.
Nice.
The type is Rök, which just
yeah.
means smoke. It's extremely smoky, with like hints of like peat and juniper and
So
smoke.
slightly more like to bourbon then, would you say? Than...
No, it's still mostly you know, it's not a rye based.
Okay, yeah.
It's just very smoky.
Fair enough. Might have to see
Savoie.
about getting one in the future, because I
Yeah.
I only bought these because they were selling for £45, but I managed to get them for 20 each. So, money.
I don't actually know how much it costs, but I think it's a little bit more,
Yeah.
like a more
Look, they're only that
expensive
cheap
one.
because, people who work in the distilleries get discounts. So that was very useful. Thank God that she works there.
Damn, it's quite a lot of different Swedish. It's a Mackmyra? Yeah, it's a Mackmyra Rök.
How is that spelled?
Yeah, I'm gonna find you the link to it. There it is. Damn, it costs that much? Jeez.
Damn!
The Freds are nice.
you're just like, I should actually invite these people. Invite them around. I am going to try to use Google. Hi, can we ask for ID? Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. I know.
Most of just, are you of age? Yes, no.
Yeah, it's more than €50.
Oh, yes.
Honey, juniper.
How much is that translated? I have no idea. I like the wee indentations at the bottom of the bottle, though.
Yeah.
It sounds
Yeah,
like a
for
very
sure.
sweet whiskey, actually. Nice.
Like Macmira is like a place. It's like a name of a
Like
town.
every single Scotch in the
Yeah.
world.
And then Swedish Smoke is the name of it.
Ah, nice.
We're still
Well,
missing Cookie.
Yeah, we're still missing Cookie, but he said he would come as soon as he could. But I want to play.
Gonna miss out on all this trauma.
I love trauma, yeah!
Suddenly, I'm wondering if you could make spruce beer out of juniper tips. Maybe. And we're in the wrong end of summer to try. Oh. Next time, you should make it a project for next year. Pear. Okay. Are we all assembled? Happy as
Yeah.
can be, and ready to roleplay some more?
Yeah.
Is that a yes from Adrian as well?
I mean, do I have a choice?
No!
Evidently not. Jules, you there? You ready?
I'm here, yes.
Perfect. Okay, so as you take in this very surprising view, in your head, kind of seeing the extent of the amount of Vistani gathered just, a couple hundreds of meters away. Do you have any immediate thoughts?
Mostly from like an exclamation perspective of like, holy shit, that's a lot of tieflings. And I hope that there is like enough alcohol. And things that don't really make much sense, just to try and like balance it out. Like, where are they all going to poop? Like,
Well, you know that your people is well traveled and used to settling down in new places. They probably have these things figured out.
do they?
Maybe. You
Well-
should ask them.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Aria's eyes widen, and he's gonna say, "Last time I was there, it was just perhaps 50 or so of them. This is not normal, right?"
Well, it's not every day that one can argue the ancient leader of the tribe passes away. Like I said, everyone knows who Madame Eva was.
I was not aware this many people of this Stani ever existed. Nonetheless, in one time.
Well, we like to keep to ourselves. And you've been living in a tree for a while, so, the Vistani, they aren't shy to meet new people, if you get my drift.
I was only in a tree for like a week. I think.
I thought it was longer than a week.
I don't think it was that long.
Yeah, it was just a couple of days. Yeah.
He was tracking
Oh.
you guys.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, so he was on your trail, and then before
Oh,
you entered Vallaki, you were set upon. and
You've
brought
been
to-
chilling in Argenbus
Yeah, and various other things.
Okay, keep your secrets.
Keep your secrets.
Mardia says, well, during my time, it's the most Bustani that I've seen, and Granny has visited Mother Dearest, has visited Sir Pool and the Vallaki encampment quite often this last couple of years to sell pies. The numbers ebbed and flowed, but never this many.
Should we see this as a positive or negative thing?
All eyes turn towards Nix.
Essentially.
I would keep your coin purses close to hand, and don't accept any, like, sweet candy from anyone. But
Of course, just Nixon doesn't have a coin purse.
oh, he's poor boy. He's like the poorest Mumu. And maybe to prepare you, like I mentioned earlier, the Vistani don't follow somewhat traditional aspects. There are usually songs and poems and tales of, stories that often are positive. It is a somber affair, of course, but it is taken from a perspective of, celebrating their lives as opposed to grieving their loss. The grieving is already done, and usually a lot of wine goes with that. And now there's more wine to be had, maybe, if there was enough to go around. But it is not unheard of that children are conceived at funerals.
Okay. I don't have any money either, so I will keep my belongings close, I guess.
Nix looks around like, I'm just like walking along with a bunch of poor people.
Wealthy side eye.
Yeah, it's like he looks at his jacket and say like, am I the rich guy here? Like, what the hell?
I'm like 99% sure you genuinely are.
Yeah, and also the one with all of the magic items, so rich in all ways.
Well, pack course, I suppose, but yeah.
Because I don't think Illyria has taken any personal money since we got to Barovia.
There's not much money in Barovia.
Yeah, true.
There's not much to buy in Barovia. Anything that there is heavily overpriced.
Didn't you
Yeah.
scoop a bunch of money from the Phenatoms into the backpack? Or did you not take
we left
any?
all the coins
Oh.
there.
Damn. Okay.
We did get a lot of money though from ransacking Van Richten's carriage.
True.
Yeah,
true,
but
true.
I think we have that in like our group sort of.
Yeah, it's in
Funds.
the bag. I was just like jingling
Yeah.
the one up.
Nix, so Nix is the rich one.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
mean,
move-
it's
Nix is
collected.
the rich one.
Do you move those coin into the bag of holding
Of course.
so they don't jingle? Yeah. I think you know.
Yeah.
You know the drill.
Like all the rations and stuff like that, we're just like
Yeah.
reaching into it.
Rich boy.
Just juggle some items around before you head on down. It's in stark juxtaposition to the Wednesday group because they didn't take anything from Richten, but they stuffed that mini bag of holding full of coins to the brim. Jesus
And
Christ.
they were cursed forever.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
But we do have the key, the orb, to open that if we want to return.
True.
If it meant that we needed to get a lot of money for whatever reason, sure, we could just like get there, come back, and scoop away if we wanted to.
What is that Donald Duck character? Swim some money.
What? Uncle Scrooge.
Scrooge, yeah. Scrooge McDuck.
DuckTales. Woo!
Okay.
That's
anyway.
no good.
Anyway, what do you do from here?
Head down the hill.
Follow next.
All right. Go the last couple of hundreds of meters or so to the camp proper. You leave behind the view to only see the stately trunks of trees that reach for the sky. Within this pillared garden, you soon come upon a roving group of a scouting party or a partying group of Asani. It's hard to tell the difference because to tell which of the two they truly are, because whilst they are dressed in hardened leathers, weapons on their hips, and eyes that sometimes scan the wooden horizon, most hands are occupied with bottles of snacks that they actively partake in. They're loud, full of laughter and song. One of them is even strumming on a lute. They are clearly not paying that much attention either. So you easily spot them long before you would be in the risk of being spotted. What is the immediate reaction?
Cringe, probably.
They do seem very lively.
It's like I said. Do I recognize who they are, at least? Or are they part of, like, the extended tiefling family, so to speak?
Make me a quick perception intelligence from this distance and listening to them singing.
Not 20 again.
Jesus Christ. Out of a caution and of anxiousness kind of bubbling in your body, you do not recognize any of them.
It's 2 in a row, what the fuck?
I do not... These aren't from Pool, so there's going to be people from all over. Maybe not even exclusive to the Vestani here. It is even possible that Strahd might pay a visit. So he looks to Jivkos.
He'll already have been going to check. Just the note of Strahd is like, oh fuck yeah, he exists. Where he is.
Where he be?
He is currently northeast, 10 or so hours.
Okay, so Castle Ravenloft. Perfect.
Indeed.
And he'll just open his eyes back again and nod after a short moment.
Okay, I'm looking to you, Jivkos, to make sure that he is not here. There is a circle here, as far as I'm led to believe from last night, that he can get here very fast. So the moment you feel him,
I must
feel his
concentrate
presence.
to check, but I shall
Hey,
not do
you
it.
Vistana! It's dangerous up there. It's very slippery. If you're drunk, you shouldn't wander so far away from the camp. This is kind of like the outer circle. You might have been off, fucking... But seriously, stay closer.
What are you, my mother?
I could be.
Not with that complexion.
Well, I think I remember fucking your father, so...
Haha. Well, you wouldn't be the last.
And they kind of stare their party up to you, and kind of like in the first coming up is this kind of like middle-aged, pretty kind of wizened woman that is a little bit scarred and pretty muscular for a tiefling, in a very clear kind of shy bright blue, with a bit of a shorter kind of hairstyle that kind of cups her face a little bit, and horns are actually pretty small, just jutting out just a little bit. And she's not decked out in as much jewelry as normally as Vastanas are, but she has this very intricate tattoo that takes up most of her exposed chest and kind of travels up her neck, and then it's a little bit on the side of her head in the shape of a snake in a rose garden. And she kind of folds her hands as she takes a look at you, and kind of like the lanterns come closer to take a look at your party. Wait a moment, you aren't, all of you, Vistani at least, well, I'm not even sure if... You are a Vistani, right?
What does it matter who we are?
No, I guess
we
not.
not
Everyone is welcome. There will be drugs. There will be drink. You're so welcome to join our fire and stay for a while. It's going to be the best night of your lives, I do promise you. And perhaps even our mysterious cat will come and visit us. Maybe even you too. Who knows? And in the middle of that talk, someone comes up. That's kind of in the back of the group that has been like staring at you in a different way and sort of like whispering in your ear. Oh. Right. You're Lady Lyria. Well, you're still welcome. Perhaps not take the drugs too much, for non-Vistani who aren't as hardened as we are. It can be a little bit much immediately,
You didn't seem to care until a moment ago.
What? No. You wound me. And she kind of makes this mock bow. When I heard of your, who you are, I just want to keep you in tip-top condition,
I hate this so much! Sure.
Hey, Cookie. Welcome.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi, Cookie.
They traveled past the crossroad at the castle, the black carriage, with the horses. The door opened and invited them into Castle Ravenloft. You all went, fuck that, carried on your way. You slept. You started heading towards Sir Pool, but most of you got worried about heading towards Sir Pool, and it was a little bit like worry, and Nyx is like, I don't want to deal with that trauma. But on your way there, Madame Eva's Taraka card that she gave to Nyx started glowing, and Nyx got a supernatural feeling of, like, you can't avoid this. He threw a temper tantrum, and now you're going towards Sir Pool, where apparently there is a fuck ton of traveled Vistana that has gathered here. You estimate about 500 to 800 individuals.
Cool. I'm still Hamat Asfoda, right?
I roleplayed you as being Asphodar.
Yeah,
Okay.
Hamat Aspida.
Hamart Asphodar?
Yeah, I changed my appearance to Asfoda last session.
Yes.
Yeah, that's still in play.
That's still
Okay. Go.
Out of abundance of caution, you can transform to Amartya back if you want to, but I thought that Amartya wanted to protect herself as Asphodar.
No, sure.
Okay, perfect. And you have just approached kind of the outskirts where there was a roving party of partying Vistani, keeping a half eye out, just having fun. And they approached the party. This Vistana started talking to the party, and then somebody else recognized Lady Lyria, and now the tone has shifted somewhat. I just want to keep you in a tip-top condition.
Sure, it's appreciated. I'll hold back. She grins.
Aren't you sweet? I can see some of the rave about you. And she looks at you up and down, staying at your curves a little bit and then going up into your face and smiling.
Fucking horny Vistani.
And they're kind of Smiles back a little bit, like grins a little.
We can escort you there if you so wish. The forest can be scary at night, no?
I think we'll make it with the fact that there are literally a fuck ton of Vistani there, making the most noise in the history of Barovia.
No.
I think we'll be fine.
You sure? Okay. Well, have fun. We will join you soon as we can. I mean, after this, I don't know, tribal kind of scout is over, and she kind of stretches a little bit, looking at it very casually. Do not stumble, I guess. Have fun. There's plenty of booze. We brought a lot. And she winks and
Wait. Where did you get all the booze?
Well, the news has been shared that Barovia is fucking dry. Don't get me started. It's a fucking travesty. I cried as much as I did from Manamiva at the news. But I've heard that is going to change soon. But you know, wine takes a lot of time in the barrels, and just getting the right and ripe and ferment and the right age, you know, just like me. Better the older you are. But so we brought a lot of our own. We did raid Persoy for all of what it was worth. We spent a lot of fucking money, but I guess once upon a lifetime.
I see. So one last hurrah in the spirit of Madame Eva.
You get it. Look at you. You're a sharp one, aren't you? And she started like ruffling
No,
her
I'm
hair.
fascinating. Ruffling my hair, no, like he backs off the moment he tries to go to like touch Nix's hair. He goes, no touch.
Oh, sensitive, aren't we? I do like sensitive little boys.
Now I wouldn't say sensitive as much as protective. You know how long it takes me to get the perfect quiz?
Okay,
Not
I
like
can
that
respect
mess
that.
on your head.
I can respect that. Oh well. Also, she leans into you. What is that furry, very foul-smelling creature over there?
He is a friend. And he is here to pay his respects. All are welcome, no?
To a point. You know, he's not gonna cause any trouble or smell any worse.
I mean,
It's kind of ruining the mood.
after enough wine, it's hard to smell anything.
Maybe it's a sign that I haven't partaken enough. Right. Okay, fine, whatever. More wine, please, for me. And she grabs somebody's bottle, shrugs half of it. All right, carry on scouting for an hour more, I think, or so. Perhaps we go sleep in a bush somewhere, maybe. And then kind of carry on their way, kind of giving you credulous looks as they go past you.
Not gonna lie, kind of sounds like a Swedish midsummer.
Oh my god.
You're not wrong at all. Secretly, the Vistani are just Swedish.
Well,
Yeah.
a Swede need to be extremely shit-faced to talk that liberally, but
Oh.
sure.
So, finished then.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Well, okay, whatever. You kind of left there on the road, and the sound of the Vistani are, closer, but still a little bit in the distance.
So, that's what you are to expect and more. So, look, Vistani are brash and boisterous. They like a laugh, and if you get into trouble, just start throwing insults. And if they don't like it, pretend you're insulting yourself. Anything to make a spectacle.
Good to know, I think.
All right.
Okay.
We look around tentatively and continue making our way. Making our way.
Long time ago, we heard this music.
Marc's a little small.
Okay. So, the much expanded Searpool encampment is made up of microcosms of circles interlocked by trampled spiderwebs of winding narrow paths with forest patches and grazing horses and bisons in between. Each circle is made up of an outer ring of loosely placed wagons, couches and carriages, all individually painted and decorated in its own shade of colorful. Within their protective circle, there's a communal living space, makeshift kitchen, sitting arrangements, and workstations organically spread out in accordance to the needs of the particular circle, made up of what they have at hand, decorated with what they can afford and to the brim, and constructed in such a way it can be taken apart and placed back into their moving homesteads to be carried to the next pit stop at any moment. Somewhere in the center of the solar system, there's always a shining sun, a communal campfire that connects them all with its heat and light. You walk past your first one, and then your second, and soon you're already up in the number of 20 or so circles, consisting of everything in between 5 and 20 wagons for each individual system. The early evening air pulsates with the energetic life that burns within each and every Vistana. There's a group of musicians playing in the light of the fire as a frenetic ensemble, entertaining a score of 15 or so dancers, totally enraptured in the passion of this physical play. There's a group of Vistani slaving away in a bustling makeshift kitchen maze while singing a work song, shouting instructions to each other, and shooing away tiefling children who come to either try and help, beg for food, or even try to steal some to the applause or sympathies of their peers as they succeed or fail. There's a handful of more burly individuals having a woodcutting contests in a meadow, boasting about their ability as they drink themselves shit-faced while swinging their axes around with gusto. There's a quiet Vistani nursing hangovers whilst brushing their work animals lovingly, braiding their hairs with sheep urine and flowers. There's adventurous children running past your path with sticks in their hands and red blushes on their cheeks as they are up to no good with various games and competitions. There's passionate orators holding a court with their stories at some more quiet campfires, groups of artisans and crafters humming lazily as they occupy their hands and minds. And sometimes as you walk past bushes and wagons on the edges of these circles, you hear the passionate moans of lovemaking, some in pairs, some in groups. More. And all of this greets you on your way to the center and to the original home of Nyx.
Still sounds like a midsummer.
Yeah.
You also get some reactions on your way past the Vistani. They kind of pause and look at you or walk past. There are some people that recognize you, Nyx. Some that you don't know who they are, some that you do, and they kind of pause and look at you with a mixture of emotions, whilst then kind of hurrying away Some people recognize Illyria for who she is, and they bow deep with warm smiles on their faces and greetings. Most people shy away from the path of Jukos. Some that accidentally get close immediately hold their noses and run away. And there's only like curious glances to Asphoda and Arius, but nothing of such interest.
If Hamat Asphoda will see someone like staring a bit, giving Nyx the stink eye or something, she will just give him that trademark Asphoda like death stare with the eyebrow.
Jivkos will be doing something similar, but just unblinking, unmoving staring.
Like we can like go be like bodyguards to Nyx, like don't fuck with us. We're
Yeah,
gonna fucking die, man.
Do you walk just behind Nyx whilst you do this?
Yeah. I'm marketing like a muscle for Nyx. So.
Jukos, do you agree to this display?
I mean, I don't think Nyx really notices.
No, but
Jivkos,
like... would you do this
Oh.
with Asphoda?
I don't think he'd be like specifically for Nyx, but rather for any of the parties. So he'd
Okay.
be more at the very back, just sort of
All right.
keeping an eye on that.
Well, let me amend then a little bit the gazes that you get, Nyx. First is this mixture of emotion, and then you look at these two burly individuals, and there's like a pause, a rethink, and then a little bit of some people expresses some being like a expression of being impressed.
Since Nyx probably wouldn't even look behind him to see what Asper Hamatia is doing or Jivkos is doing, because he's like looking out for his family and to hopefully duck them. He like hears the words of like, "Ooh, not bad," and his ego immediately thinks that they're talking about him, and he sort of like starts to slowly puff out his chest a little bit more and like do like a bit more of a classic Nyx strut and like adjusts his jacket and like holds the lapels as he's walking through the Vistani celebration camp.
Okay. Yeah. And on your way towards the original and center campfire at Sir Pool, the one just by the shore and lake where Madame Eva's tent used to be, you also walk past a large and more serious circle of Vistani wagons. There in its center, propped up on a crate and a barrel on top of that, sits Aragorn in front of a gathered group of 30 or so individuals. And to his right-hand side, you standing below the crate and the barrel, you spot Radu, the orange-red tiefling that spied on you in the early nights within the Valley of Mist. There is a lively conversation going, the crowd conversing with the raised-up tiefling. And someone in the back of the gathered crowd shouts loudly in response to something Aragorn just said. So loudly it can reach your ears too, even though you're like kind of walking past a little bit further down from this gathering. But are you really sure the Count can give such promises? The dwarves are not cooperating! Aragorn sighs, holds up a hand, getting a bit frustrated too, as he loudly proclaims back as emotions ride high. It's the Emperor of the former Sarovich Empire. And with the arrival of his lost love, he has clearly awakened to his former royal self, and it's just a matter of... His loud proclamation dies off as his eyes had lifted from the crowd before him to the path that you're walking on. And his eyes widen for a second. And the crowd kind of looks behind themselves as they see that Aragorn sees somebody behind them. And there is a whispering wave that goes through the crowd, as some of them start to recognize of what they're looking at and sharing the news amongst each other. But Aragel's eyes land on Nyx with an intense look on his face, and then it shifts into a smirk. And Aragel starts speaking again to the crowd, kind of stealing their attention back, but keeping his voice low so you can't overhear anymore, taking back attention of this gathered group of Vistani, and makes a clear point to ignore your presence, at least for now. And he seems to wield enough influence in this group to prevent them from heading your way with greetings or sheer curiosity, to instead remain where they are to listen to whatever he has to say.
I make it a point to turn my head away from Argal, as like not even giving him any sort of respect or even acknowledgement about who he is.
Mm-hmm.
To Nyx, he is a failed leader, someone who led an entire camp to ruin and made such ridiculous mistakes that he's just an absolute failure. So he tries to convey that in his presence, which I believe he's quite adept at in doing. Just a motion, a body language twitch, the perfect posture for such a conveyance.
All right. Absolutely. You might have been turned before he even changed his facial expression. Yeah.
Illyria for a moment is tempted to try and get closer, but sort of reading Nyx's reaction, she will decide that this probably isn't worth it and follow along with that.
Okay. Sure. Turning away from that particular large group of wagons is not far to St. Paul's original campfire, Eva's campfire. As the trees clear so you can spy the clear waters of Sirpol beyond, a tight half-moon circle of wagons protect a circle of Vistani that Illyria and Nyx, and some even Irius, would recognize. Beyond the camp, out on the sandy shore, a massive wooden pyramid with a flat top and a spiral-cooled staircase is constructed. The base is covered by flowers, notes, messages, but also many of Eva's personal belongings. Incense burns both at the top and at the base, creating lacy and dark smoke trails into the evening sky. Their perfume is so heavy that even from here you can smell some of it. What's obviously missing is the wrap-up corpse that should lie on top of this altar of death and farewell, but it seems that the Vistani have substituted her remains for her belongings instead. From time to time, as you would spend time here, Vistani visit alone or in groups with tears in their eyes, each one leaving another offering, another stick of incense, or another flower by its base. But your attention returns to the people right in front of you. Up on a love seat suspended over the shallow waters of the lake, the sisters Sorvia and Mirabelle perch amongst the pillows, a makeshift wooden roof protecting them from the rain as they converse softly with each other. Looking at them immediately brings back painful memories of Olenka burning to death in the blood on the wine tavern in the village. Cato, the handsome and somewhat peacocky Vistani who tried to court Apsfada on his own risk, sits on the stairs leading up to the platform, half listening to the girls behind him and the others by the campfire with a wine bottle in his hands. Then underneath a scarlet cloth hoisted up by 4 sturdy sticks is the rest of the original Sirpol inhabitants mid-conversation. There's the couple Bela and Ven, cradling together a newborn Vistani that they keep asleep by their continuous rocking. There's 2 small children, Fonso and Lil Rosie, painting doodles on an arc of paper quite idly. The teenagers Nico and Tara sit together, the shy Nico as quietly as possible strumming on a lute, whilst Tara tries to encourage his practice with her own playful flute pirouettes, whilst the 15-year-old Sofia sits on her own in the background by a tent entrance, her latest book of poetry in her hands with a pen. The younger but not smaller brother of Cato, Saban, is currently locked in conversation with the other adults, mostly turning towards the painted face of Floor. Whatever they are talking about has them both tensed and engaged. But you fail to listen in on the conversation as your presence immediately makes heads turn your way, as all of these eyes suddenly look towards you all, with different shades of surprise covering their faces.
That's a lot of information.
Oh, a lot of people.
I've had 4 hours of sleep. I'm barely following.
There's a lot
people.
of people in front of you
And they're
that you've
sitting
met
down like
before.
they are.
And they're
Yes.
all tieflings.
And they're all tieflings. And Lyria and Nyx have met him before. Nyx knows all of these people. Hamartia, you might have seen some, but like recognize some of the faces, but you don't want to really know any names or personalities, as Granny herself kinda did the whole negotiating of price kind of part of your travels.
Yes.
You cost. You're a complete stranger.
Who the fuck are these guys?
Yeah.
Can I ask something dumb?
Yeah, sure.
I can't remember. Did anything happen to Luvash?
Luvash's
He lost his
daughter, Arabelle.
Yeah, I know he lost his
Yes.
daughter, but he's still alive and kicking, right?
Yes, he is, but he lost an eye in his in the duel he had with Isaac, as
Yeah.
Rickton had
I remember
tipped off
that.
the Vistani about who Arabella died by, and it caused Luvash to take a group of Vistani to attack Isaac, and in that fight he lost, sadly, and lost an eye
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah,
But he
I
survived.
remember that. I remember that. I wasn't sure if he's still, because we haven't seen him anywhere, have we?
No, not yet. No, he might not be here. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm just noticing. I'm just curious. Sorry.
No, it's good. These questions are good, and it wasn't stupid. Yes. There is hesitation on both parties, and you just kind of you stare at each other for a good 3 seconds before most of them kind of stands up, except for the children who kind of look up like awkwardly, like what's going on. Sorvia immediately waves and goes, "Nyx, Illyria!" Cato stands up, immediately a blush on his face as he looks towards Asphoda. When
Asphoda.
Bela kind of cradles their baby very protectively, and Wen also calls out for Nyx's name, and then Bella shoots him like a death glare, and Wen immediately kind of like sits down. Saban like stands up as well, like trying to like fix his clothing a bit. Sofia immediately looks up, looking very hopeful and happy. She's staring at Nyx, and Floor as well slowly stands up. Well, welcome back, Nyx, Lady Lyria, and Master Irius. It's good to see you alive ever since that moment when you stumbled.
Did you hope us to be dead?
What? But no, why would you?
I think what he's trying to say is that it's good to see you too.
Saban kind of takes a step forward, kind of like offering some seats at the campfire, like telling Tara to go fetch some more drink. Yes, indeed, it is very nice to see all of you. You are welcomed by the fire. We had no idea that you were coming.
Neither did we. Until very recently.
Well, we would have hoped, continues Floor. At least I did, that you would be here for the funeral. It was, well, you know, to you.
I know. He's like scratching the back of his head. He's like, I've not dealt with it very well. It's still quite raw.
The Vistani kind of look in between themselves. Some looks of like understanding of like, yeah, Jesus, this last couple of days have been hard. And then little Rosie kind of looking at all the adults and kind of the tension kind of slowly dissipating from the situation, looks towards Nyx and goes, right! Little Rosie, what's that right? And then looks to you with like hands up. Nyx, back right!
Oh god.
Just like the last time you were here.
Nyx just simply pats a little Rosie on the head and say, "Give Nyx some time to catch his breath, eh, Rosie?"
You're tired?
It's been a journey to get here. Maybe later.
Little
If you're a good
Rosie
girl.
will feed you, and then you will feel all better. She runs away and like runs into a tent and brings back like a handful of cookies.
Oh.
Aw.
Freaking kids. Don't all the kids!
Shut up!
Kind of like pushes it into your lap or into your hands, depending upon if you're standing or sitting at this point.
I'm still standing for sure.
Mhm.
Like, I'm sort of like just there.
and so you can give Rosie a back rub.
Later, Rosie. Later.
Makes me feel better, so. Okay, well, Rosie, good girl, so I will wait. But not forever.
Is that a threat?
She looks a little bit angrily at you, but it's adorable.
Oh.
It's a threat.
Nyx looks at each of the faces of his family. And he notices that like Iron's not there, like few of the older ones except for Floor.
Yeah, Ian and Dorenia isn't there. And, you know, Ian is the oldest amongst them. Usually hangs around. And Dorenia is one of the few Vistani who proclaims herself mother of both Saban and Kato, and usually are around wherever they are to keep them out of trouble. Fail. Often, though. But both of them are not here.
And how close are we to the pyre?
Oh, it's
'Cause
just
it's
beyond.
not burning yet.
Yeah, no, it's just beyond the circle, just out there on the shore, beyond the water plants there. So just like 10-15 meters away.
And Nyx is sort of like not really looking at anyone in the face, but more just like staring at the immense pyre. Sorry.
It isn't burning yet. It's just
No.
built.
He's just looking at it and saying, "Is this what Eva would have wanted? Such a grand display." She's gone. And she was never one for, well, large displays of, well, anything really. I don't know why, but coming home, and he says home with like difficulty, seems to be so distant even though I stand here. It is nice to see you all again, but you would find that I have changed a fair bit since last you saw me. Okay.
Yeah,
That
sorry.
door needs oiling.
No, that was an ambulance.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No worries. I live very central, so I get way too many. Sorry.
It's okay. They all look in between themselves, looking pretty hesitant. Not reacting like you usually see them. Nyx, you would have expected something other at this point. But Fleur kind of tucks a strand of her red hair behind one of her ears, dripping a bit like a big ostentatious golden, like dangling euro piece there. Well, I, for one, isn't sure it's a good thing having a funeral for Madame Eva, because we're still not entirely sure what's happened, nor if she is truly dead, and such if it's proper for us to have one. I find it a bit quick in judgment. Saban, like, immediately his forehead kind of creaks. There's no question about it. I mean, that couldn't have been Madame Eva, and for all sakes and purposes, no matter, the effect is still the same, Floor. So why sow more dissent when it's already so tense? I'm not sure, none of us are sure truly what she wanted. But this is the Vistani way, and she was great to us, and therefore she shall have a great ceremony. And he looks towards Nyx with those kind of words, with like a lot of resolve on his face.
Nyx, like, it feels like it's distant words. He's almost not ignoring them, but feels like he's not hearing them. Look, you do what you need to do to grieve. I know the Vistani way, and well, Eva was a Vistani through and through. This is true, but surely there should be a little more reverence. After all, she was mothered not just to me, but to all of you. She was our mother. And whether or not you believe that she is alive or dead, that makes no difference. There's no problem with celebrating Eva's life. She may not be here anymore, but isn't it not the Vistani way to just celebrate her life, regardless? Burn a pyre if you must, if that helps you grieve. I, on the other hand, will not be grieving Eva in the traditional way.
What are you talking about? says Kato there on the side. We are giving her proper respect. Do you see how many have gathered? We are dancing and celebrating and drinking the night away, as is our way.
Yes, Kato, it is your way. Not mine. Not any longer.
What are you so unhappy about? What's wrong? What's wrong about us, Nix?
I have been traveling, Kato. And when I left this camp, I didn't want you to think that I had forgotten the way that I left last time. Angry, full of fear and hate, scared even. A broken man. And I have been through much more since then. It feels like I was here a lifetime ago. I have a new perspective on things. I am grateful for Eva and what she did for all of us, including myself. I still feel her. I still know she's out there. And it pains my heart to know that she suffers still. So, drink if you want. Fuck if you want. Enjoy your lives. Why not? For all the chances that you get in this life, take every chance that you can. I've done enough. For now. And I'm sorry I'm not the Nix that you remember. Naive. Wistful. Egotistical. Maybe I'm still that.
Sorvia smiles.
I have a new mission. And this is my new family. And he gestures to the group.
My
Olivia
God.
just kind of, she's been just like watching Nyx with a very faint, like reassuring smile, knowing that it is probably best not to openly show affection surrounded by so many others. Her smile grows a little bit wider.
We have heard about some of what you've done, Nix. And I think I quite agree with the whisper that you have changed. So, what would you have us do instead?
I
Says Flor.
don't command you. I'm not your leader. If you feel like this is the way that you grieve, then go. Do what you must. I don't tell you what to do, and no one should. Vestani will always be Vestani. But I tell you here and now, I now know why I was kept on the outside. I know why I was treated the way I was for so long, but not given an explanation. And Nyx's eyes flick around to the older tieflings in the group. I've learned who I am. At least in part. I've come to terms with the fact that I am not truly one of you. That doesn't mean I don't hold you in high regard. It's just that I've moved on. And I'm sure a lot of you will be grateful for the fact that strange little Nix is no longer your problem.
Make me an empathy composure. All this time, while Snix have been talking, Amaria,
Yes.
Kato has been doing eyes at you.
Eyebrow wiggles.
Such a fuckboy.
As for the
Those 6 eyes!
Yeah.
Everybody but Kato and Maribel and Bella, like only looking at the adults here, kind of look down on the ground in disappointment.
As in, like, disappointment or guilt?
There might be some guilt involved, who knows, but it's disappointment right now that they're feeling. Floor kind of take a step forward again. Just, even if you feel that way, 1 second. There's something important. One moment. And she heads into one of the side tents, kind of ruffles through, a lot of things, brings out this kind of sturdy but innocent looking kind of small wooden box, and she opens it up, and within there's this satin bag, a red satin bag that seems rudimentary but expensive in its materials and its making, but there's no decorations. And she brings it forward to you and kind of offers that bag. And she says, there wasn't much left as we cleaned up the tent. But we did find a letter for you, saying that she holds no claim to any of her mortal belongings, but for this, and she wishes only you to receive it.
Nix, who hands him this?
Floor.
Floor. He looks at Floor like with a furrowed, confused brow. There was a letter?
Well, a short note. Something we've never seen before. It's almost like she knew it would happen. But then again, it's Madame Eva we're talking about. If anybody knew it was her. Maybe it was because... Maybe she knew because she isolated herself like days before you even arrived. Like she was gathering her strength for one last reading.
Nix takes the bag.
Mm-hmm. Whatever
And,
is
you look-
inside, there seems to be not like one item, but like several, and they seem pretty light and somewhat sharp. You look inside?
Yeah, I do.
There is a black decorated kind of backside of a deck of Tarokka. Madame Eva's deck of Tarokka.
Key. I pull it out. I imagine it's like a deck of cards, right? So
Yes, indeed. But they're somewhat like bigger than a deck of cards, and each card is thicker than a normal playing card would be. So you feel slightly like clumsy like holding them because they're pretty substantial in your hands. So they're well made. Well made with like beautiful filigree and depictions in the same style of the cards that you travel with you.
Yeah, you've seen it
Many times.
many a
before.
time.
Yeah.
I continue looking at the items in the bag.
And you kind of scroll through the cards, and cards that in your possession you go past. So they're not really missing from the deck, yet they are from the deck, but here they are, like copies of it. How does that work? Did Madame Eva have copies of just your cards? It confounds you a little bit.
Magical deck, I guess.
Probably. And you kind of scroll through most of them, and you glance up at the people around the campfire for a moment, and all of them are staring at you and the deck expectantly, waiting for something to happen.
Huh. Do I feel anything whilst I'm holding this heirloom? Like, I expect, like, with the Nyx's own card of, the missionary being, his, the influence of him being here, more or less. I guess he will just, like, just, like, close his eyes and almost, like, think of Eva, and, I guess he will draw a card.
Make me a presence empathy.
Oh, okay. Presence, empathy. I have a +1 there. So. 1 second.
No, I get it. You gotta calculate.
Yeah.
Calculating's hard. Maths is hard. This is
It's also because Nyx has jack of all trades as well, so the numbers are fucky.
Oh, yeah, so it's +2. Yeah, to everything, because it's half proficiency, isn't it?
It's half, yeah,
Which,
but
actually,
he has.
I've never
He has.
That works in Frostmark, actually, yeah. So.
So it'll be this, I think. With presence, empathy is, I believe it's that.
Okay. You draw one of the cards, and there certainly is a bit of a tickle kind of in your neck. Your hairs stand on end. There's a little bit of like electricity in the air, but it's so slight. There's this constant doubt of like, am I just imagining this? Is it just placebo? Is this happening? But it's certainly like an unnerving feeling. And you just draw a card at random. You open your eyes. And you're holding the missionary card.
Of course I am. Nyx looks at it.
You can see around the campfire, people have like tried to like lean in to see what you drew, and as you look up, everybody kind of like move back.
Nyx like indulges them and in two fingers flicks it around to let them see.
Does that mean anything, Nix? Says Sorbia. To you? To us?
It does and it doesn't. When it comes to how to read Taraka cards, these specific Taraka cards are from Madame Eva. There are interpretations. This card belongs to me. This is the card that Madame Eva herself gave to me once. It represents that I am transitioning. I am learning. I have new things that I have encountered and discovered and changed who I am. And I know that now. Madame Eva wanted this for me. To grow up. To not be that childish boy that wants to prove to you all that I'm not the fuck up that you all expected me to be. And even if you still think that, it doesn't matter to me anymore. You think what you think. I have the reassurance from those that matter to me. Your opinions are your own. All I can do is be Nyx.
That's all fine and dandy. I'm happy for you, I guess. Says Saban, slightly like frustrated. But what does that mean for us? Did Madame Eva give any indication of where we're supposed to go? What we're supposed to do without her?
Look, Saban. Maybe it's time that we think for ourselves. We are all here standing by where Madame Eva spent the majority of her life, hundreds of years. And we all looked up to her, right? We all expected her to tell us the way. Has she not given each one of us enough of those teachings for us to make those decisions ourselves, with her voice in our ears?
Then it's as I say, Flor. What Luvers preaches is the right way to go for the Vistani people, okay? We need to start protecting our own. What has happened to Arabelle and Valaki, and what's about to happen with what the Count wants. We need to protect ourselves. This is the right way forward. Saban, please? I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to become a shut-in. I want to live. I don't want to be cuddled.
What are you talking about?
There are camps being created currently as we speak between all of us of what we're supposed to do without Madame Eva's leadership, right? Now, the more sane of us, speak for yourself. You know what I think, you're not the sane one. Saban, I'm just trying to explain. Shut your fucking mouth. Just listen to our elders like we always done. Perhaps if we pull enough of them together, we can get like an inch of Madame Eva's wisdom. But these fools rather listen to the brothers. Well, one of the two at least.
The brothers, you mean?
Arigal and Luvash.
Where is Luvash?
Oh, he's here. His ardent followers, together with him, has taken up camp by the main road further inland. Fanatical bastards. And she kind of gives Saban like a really evil eye, and Saban just stares back at her with like a very resolute back. Kato kind of leans back on one of his elbows there on the staircase, kind of lets out one of his legs and stretches it out. I don't believe any of those two would actually bring prosperity and wealth to the Vistani. Aragal has obviously proven himself to be the right steward of our people. I mean, he's friend with the Count. What can go wrong? Let's party. Let's take some stuff. Let's actually grow. Just out of this fucking mist and mud. We're destined for greater things. And immediately, like, Flora raises her voice, and then Sabana raises their voice, and then Bella gets in there, and then Sorvia makes a comment, and they start bickering amongst themselves.
Next, here's the back and forth and say, do you truly believe that Madame Eva's teachings is telling you to be under the thumb of the Count, still?
Everyone
That's what
kind
you
of
believe?
pauses and kind of look to you, of like, yeah?
Nick's kind of like laughs to himself, like shaking his head, like, unbelievable. Then you have all completely misunderstood the purpose. Madame Eva was not really someone that wanted us to remain under the Count. She wanted us to be free. She wanted us to live our lives. She wanted us to enjoy that without the fear of an oppressive cuck looking down on us.
Yeah!
Let's go!
It's the C word!
I need to check where that guy is, actually.
Kato stands up with like fire in his chest and says, yes! Yes! That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to look after ourselves, right? Not anybody else. Fuck everybody else. We need to protect ourselves. We can do some trades, some work for the Count if it suits us. But we need to stop following anybody else's command to become truly independent. Self-sufficient. I don't think that's actually what he's saying, Saban. Like, listen. And they kind of go back to bickering.
Is this not what Vistani used to be? He'll sort of say in a quiet tone to Nyx. Independent.
Strahd is still 10 hours north.
Oh, perfect. All right.
The Vistani are weak compared to probably how you knew them. They have grown dependent.
Used to be a lot more like to what your friend, and gesturing sort of towards Kato, has described.
Nyx will like nod
Voices
and like
are
with
like raised again, and they're kind of like shouting at each other.
okay.
Hey.
Not paying much attention to you right now. Sophia kind of like sneakily makes like a circle around and kind of comes up to the side of you and like tries to like hold on to the cloth of your elbow.
If there is a distraction, Hamadia will whisper to Illyria in Hamadia's voice. And she'll go,
Hey, is this like one tiefling staring at me?
I don't think he took his eyes off me. Do you know what this is? Illyria! Psst! It's me, it's Inkarnate.
Does
Illyria asked for that.
Illyria know that he was like oogling Asphodel?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. They went tussling in the
Yeah.
bush, but not the kind of competition that Kato wanted.
Illyria will kind
Asphodel,
of
like,
turn around
wanted to
and
duel.
we're like, he's just really into that big scaly body of yours.
Jivka just sort of like wide-eyed looks down at Lyria.
No. Did ask for that take him up on it? Did he
Not like he
kiss?
wanted.
Did ask for that say yes? I need to know. This is some background information for my character. You know,
You had a little tussle, but not in the way that he probably wanted. So no.
Okay, good. And she'll come back to that test for the Demigo.
You look back to Kato and you can see him like very subtly kind of like flexing his bicep as he like looks at his nails.
As for the will roll her eyes on him.
Sophia come up and does Korean imagine whilst you guys are talking and like steps up to Nyx kind of to the side and like tries to get your attention by holding on to the cloth by your elbow and kind of like pushing a little bit on your jacket.
Yeah, I'll offer her the attention she's asking for.
Nyx, what do you think? I would
I
be
think
old
of what?
enough to vote, so it's kind of like how it's going down, I think. What should I choose?
What do you mean?
Well, everybody's talking that there is going to be a vote after the funeral of who's going to become the leader, right? There's Luvash, there's Arikal, and then there is the group of elders. Which one should I choose?
What does your heart tell you, Sophia?
I don't know, I'm scared. The elders just want things to continue as normal, and I don't know if that's good. Luvash just wants to isolate and keep us away from the rest of the world, and Aragala wants us to be like aggressive and ambitious and join the counts and become more powerful as a people, in his words. I don't know what's happening and I'm afraid. What do you think?
Oh god. Nyx looks to the unlit pyre and tries to think about, what would Madame Eva say? The Vestani, no matter what path that lies as a choice right now in front of you, will offer you a path to redemption. We, who have lived the life of the Vestani, have lived it as such because our ancestors owed something to Strahd. That died with Eva. far as I'm concerned, we know nothing. We owe nothing to him. There should not be a vote. The vote should be stopped. It is time for the Vestani to live for themselves. I will have to speak with these elders.
You know, Nix, the Count scares me, and everyone is just talking about how to move around him or work with him, and the plans that he has. But I've heard about the stories of what you've done, of how brave you've been. I know that you've been a little bit isolated, but Madame Eva chose you. Obviously, she gave you a Tarok attack. She chose you as a son. You have more influence than you think. You can guide us. I'd rather have you than any of them. Madame Eva chose you.
Nix feels the weight of Sophia's words. And he like sort of dips his head a little. Sophia, do you think the Vistani will follow one that is not really of their own?
Maybe we need some outside perspective to shed some light on the darkness that festers within.
Nix gives her a soft smile and says, "Thank you, Sophia. Out of everyone here, you're the one I miss most."
She blushes. And she looks up at you with this admiration and loyalty. And like you are a candle, only source of light in a very stormy and dark sea. And with that, we're going to end tonight's episode of Curse of Mother Mystery.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
That is the Vistani.
Oh my goodness gracious.